movement coach. I teach yoga, Pilates, Eldoa, and I've studied lots of breathing practices. Today, I really want to share with you some of the fundamentals of breathing. I'm sure you've heard that breathing is important, and lots of times we don't know what to look for. I'm breathing, it's happening, there's breath going in and there's breath going out, but how can we use our breath as a real key to help improve our health, our state of mind, our emotional state, our psychological state? In a sense, all roads lead back to the breath. It really is the primary movement in our body. And when we can start to recognize when the breathing gets off kilter and start to learn how to bring it back into alignment, we can have a really powerful handle on our own health and our own state of mind, our own wellness. Let's get started. Thank you for joining me. All right, let's just find a comfortable place to sit. So you might be sitting in a chair, you might be sitting on a floor like I am. I'm sitting up on a cushion, makes it just a little easier to have my pelvis upright. However you decide to sit, just find a way to have the best alignment you can. You've got your spine in its natural curves. Make sure that you're not just slumped back in your chair with your spine all rounded, resting on the sacrum. This is one of the biggest faux pas we can do, and it's really damaging for our spine, especially our low back and our sacrum area. So find a way to sit right up on those sit bones. Find your gravity line, that central axis line, giving your body the best alignment you can with low tension. All right, once you're sitting that way, let's start to take a few breaths and begin to notice. Notice your breathing. So we're going to start to pay attention at the nose. We want to be breathing in and out through our nose whenever possible, keeping our lips closed. And let's just notice how that feels. Feel the cool air coming in through your nose. And when we exhale, the air's been warmed up by the inside of our body, so the air going out is a lot warmer. Just follow your own breathing and start to notice. You might want to close your eyes. Notice how quickly or slowly the breath is coming in. Notice if it comes in more quick, or if it goes out quite quick, or if it comes in slowly, goes out slowly. Just see what you notice about the path of the breath coming in and out through the nose. And then the next thing I'd like you to notice is, where does the breath go in your body? Can you follow the pathway of the breath? What part of your body is expanding to accommodate the breath? And some of you might already know lots of different things about the breath, and you might already have some judgments of, you notice this, oh, that's not good, or this isn't good. Try to let the judgments go, and instead be like a scientist, just be curious. You're gathering information. You're just noticing, oh, that's interesting. I can feel my breath here, or I can feel some expansion here or there. Resist the temptation to judge it as good or bad, and just notice. Simply notice. So taking that time to see where your breath is going. And you might have noticed that there's a few areas that feel stuck or blocked. Ideally, we could breathe into this whole rectangle and feel a global expansion and contraction, much like when you're blowing up a balloon and it expands in all directions. Ideally, we would be feeling a sense of expansion and contraction through the whole upper body. Or we might be able to notice it, and it might be subtle. Many times when we go to notice the breath, we start to feel a little bit blocked. So since I'm not there with you to ask you questions about how it felt, I'm just going to share with you some of the common things that I encounter when I work with people in their breathing. A lot of times people will say to me, I feel like the breath is stuck right here. Or they'll say, throughout the day I'll notice that I feel like I'm really not breathing at all. Well, chances are you are breathing, but the diaphragm is our main muscle of breath, and it attaches to the low ribs all the way around. When that muscle feels a little bit stuck or tight, or it's not really moving, we can feel like the breath is stuck up here, or we might even feel the sensation that we're not breathing. In truth, we probably are breathing, and we're probably breathing in a very jagged, quick, small breath, almost like a hyperventilation breath. And it's just like... But since the diaphragm isn't moving, there's a part of our brain that has this sensation that we're really not breathing. The truth is our breathing volume is probably quite high because we're taking a lot of short and shallow breaths. So let's look at how we can get the diaphragm a little bit more involved in the breath. Slow the breathing down, and we want to get out of this jagged, quick, short breathing pattern and help to bring us back into a nice, relaxed, rolling, soft, easy breath. This jagged breathing pattern keeps us stuck in the fight, flight, freeze system. We don't want to spend our entire day in that system with the alarm bells ringing. We want to dial our nervous system back into the place of rest and digest. So if your nervous system is in rest and digest mode, the peristaltic muscles can do their work for digestion. The diaphragm would be moving up and down with the breath, creating a beautiful pump system through the center of our body, giving a massage, a squeeze, and a release to the internal organs, the digestive organs, the lungs, the heart, the liver, everything, the kidneys, the adrenals. Everything gets a nice little massage, a nice squeeze and release when the diaphragm is moving. However, when we get stuck in that fight, flight, freeze place, and then our breathing stays in that jagged breath, we tend to keep ourselves in that fight, flight place, and it's quite exhausting for us. Digestion doesn't work very well. A lot of the systems in our body are just on pause or freeze when that happens. So let's take a look at the first primary muscle of breath. The primary breathing muscle is the diaphragm. So you can follow with me or just look at the model that I'm doing here. The diaphragm is a big mushroom-shaped muscle attaching all the way around the lowest ribs. It's a big dome that domes up in the direction of the heart and lungs. So as I inhale, that dome is going to drop down, and as I exhale, the dome is going to float back up. So I'm exaggerating with my hands, but it helps just to get that going in our mind. So you might want to just follow with me. So as I inhale, my lungs are going to expand. The diaphragm is going to drop down a little bit. As I exhale, the diaphragm pushes up to help empty my lungs. Inhale, the diaphragm drops down. And as I exhale, it floats up. So if the diaphragm is moving, then these low ribs are going to be moving. You could try putting your hands around the outside of the lowest ribs. As I inhale, there's an expansion. And as I exhale, everything contracts. I inhale, my ribs are going to expand. And I exhale, everything contracts. So another important fact here is that the bottom of your lungs are much fuller than the top. Our lungs are conical shaped. The most efficient area to breathe into our lungs is right at the base. So much like if you were pouring water into a jug and the bottom of the jug is going to fill first, I want you to imagine the same thing happening with your breath. So the breath makes initial contact right down here. In fact, let's give everything a little tap here. Just fold your fingers in. Make a little tapping action around the low ribs, the lungs, the back, the kidneys, the adrenals. Just tapping this area. Or you might just kind of want to rub that area just to get your brain to pay attention. Now, as I breathe, I'm going to think about making direct contact into my hands, breathing into my hands. Since I'm breathing into the bottom of my lungs, I don't even want to worry about this part right here. I mean, I can tap this area so that it's not quite so tight. When we breathe in the upper chest area, these muscles get very tight because they're working really hard with the breath. We want to skip right past those muscles and breathe down into the low part of the lungs. So just try that a couple more times. In through your nose, follow the pathway, make gentle contact with the low ribs, and feel those bottom ribs moving as you breathe. Don't forget to include the back ribs, the side ribs. Let's notice the quality of the breath now. Try allowing the breath to be a little softer and a little slower than usual. Soft and slow, thin stream of breath coming in through your nose, filling up the low lungs, then soft and slow as you exhale, emptying the lungs. There's also a bit of a myth around the breath that more is better. So oftentimes we think, oh, what I need to do is take some really deep breaths, and then we sort of force the breath in. This is really just another version of our hyperventilation breath, that jagged breathing. I'd like us to all think about, how could my breath be a little softer, a little slower, a little quieter, very easy, effortless, and gentle? More is not necessarily better. Let's be more efficient with the breathing. Slow the breathing down and stretch it out. So just do your own experiment, and at the end of this, you'll be able to take a moment and notice how you're feeling and see how it worked for you. So let's take a couple more breaths. We're going to slow the breathing down, access the low lungs, and we're not trying to stuff and overstuff and fill our lungs to the biggest, fullest capacity. We're just going to make gentle contact and then a soft, slow exhale. So just do that 3 more times. Gently breathing into the center of your body, all around the circumference of the lowest ribs. Keeping the mouth closed, breathing in and out just through your nose. Playing that little game with yourself. Could my breath be just a little softer, a little bit slower, a little quieter? Make sure we're not bringing any tension into the neck and shoulders. Your arms are heavy, your shoulders are heavy, and we're still sitting in our natural alignment. One more breath like this. Great. Okay. As I mentioned before, stress tends to bring us into this short, shallow, jagged breathing pattern, like this. Now, it might be quiet. It might not be as obvious as what I'm doing. So we call that a hidden hyperventilation pattern. And that can be happening throughout the day. We can get stuck like that. And then we even try to breathe like that when we're sleeping at night. Then we start to do really loud snoring, really kind of struggling as we breathe, because our brain starts to recognize, okay, this is where we're set. We've set the parameters for our breath at this short, jagged breath, which means we need to pull a lot of air in. So when we go to sleep at night, we start to struggle with the breath. We snore loudly, we pull, we sputter. We start to breathe even through the mouth to get the breath in a little quicker. During the day and when we're conscious, we'd like to start to switch that to a softer, slower breath, so our breathing would be quiet and peaceful at night as well. Let's do a little exercise now to interrupt this jagged breathing pattern and to send our nervous system more into the parasympathetic, more into the relaxation component. I really love this breathing exercise, and it might be one that you can do at night before you go to sleep. So we're going to inhale through the nose for 4 counts. Inhale softly, 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to hold your breath on full lungs. 3, 4. Exhale softly. 3, 4, and hold on empty lungs. 2, 4. Inhale through your nose, very gentle. And hold. Just notice your lungs are full. 3, 4. Exhale softly, just like you're letting the air out of a balloon, no effort. 3, 4. Hold on empty lungs. 2, 3, 4. Inhale through your nose, very gentle. And hold. Pause. 3, 4. Exhale through your nose, very quiet, very soft. And hold. 3, 4. 2 more times. Inhale, nice and soft. Expand into the lower lungs and hold. Exhale, let the air out through your nose, very soft. And hold, empty the lungs. 3, 4. One last time. Inhale. 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale, let the air out. 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Now just take a few breaths at your own pace. No need to control the breath or push or pull the breath in any particular direction. Just let the breathing, whatever happen, however it needs to happen. And take a moment to notice how you're feeling. Notice your state of mind. Notice how your body feels. You might even be able to tune into your emotional state. Just take a moment to notice. I really like that breathing exercise because it disrupts or it interrupts that jagged breathing pattern. And if you're spending a lot of time staring at a computer, staring at your cell phone, there's a really good chance that we've gone into that shallow breath. So just taking a little pause moment to shift the breathing, disrupt that pattern with this 4, 4, and 4 breath. We inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. That's a really great way to shift your nervous system into the relax or rest and digest mode. So let's talk about that for a second. When you're working on a computer, especially learning something new, we tend to stare very intently into that computer with our eyes, really sharply focused. There is a connection to the muscles around the eyes and the diaphragm. These are part of the fight, flight, freeze muscle systems. Our quads are part of that system. The psoas is part of that system. The glutes are part of that system. There's various muscles that are definitely connected into that fight, flight, freeze muscle group. So we can actually include the eyes and the diaphragm into that. So let's do a little experiment here. I want to help you make a connection to your eyes and your diaphragm. Let's do a little exercise. So I'd like you to find something to look at. Find a spot just in front of you. Maybe if you have a computer in front of you, it's on the keyboard, or a spot on the carpet, or anything you can look at. I want you to stare very intently into that spot, like you're trying to burn a hole with your eyes. Send a laser focus out through your eyes, almost like tunnel vision, into that spot, and notice your breathing. As you stare very sharply, very intently into that spot, notice your breathing. Okay, now relax your eyes, wiggle your spine a little bit. Now I'd like you to look at that same spot, except instead of staring intently, I want you to let your eye focus soften and take in peripheral space. For example, you can look at that spot, I can wiggle my fingers, I can see in my peripheral vision that I'm wiggling my hands. Rest your hands down, look at your spot, take in peripheral space, notice the quality of the light. You might even notice what you can see or sense in your peripheral space. Allow your eye focus to be very soft. And now notice your breathing with soft eyes, taking in peripheral space. One more breath like this, just taking in that wide space, eye focus very soft. Okay. What did you notice? I'm going to just follow the experiment through and share with you what I notice. So what I notice is when I'm staring intently, my diaphragm feels very stuck. When I relax the focus of my eyes and take in peripheral space, suddenly I have access to my diaphragm, and my diaphragm can move up and down. So there's definitely a connection. When our eyes are sharply focused, the diaphragm tends to be stuck. This, to me, was a really big piece in the puzzle as to how it is most of us spend our day in this place where the diaphragm is stuck and we're feeling highly stressed. So how exactly we get into that place might be a different story for everybody, but we tend to all arrive at that same stressed place where the diaphragm is stuck, the breathing is shallow, and we feel like we're not breathing. Let's connect this to our eyes, especially if we spend a lot of time in front of a computer. Every once in a while, you want to shift your eye focus. Maybe look out the window, take in peripheral space, or even just close your eyes. Even with eyes closed, we can still take in peripheral space. We want to go into that wide space. Allow your diaphragm to unlock and become an active pump in the center of your body, keeping all the organ systems happy, getting their movement, getting their massage as the diaphragm is moving. So let's just take a few breaths. You can close your eyes, take in peripheral space, and now with eyes very soft, let's try our 4-4-4 breath. Let's give that a try. Either close your eyes or just soften your eye focus, take in peripheral space. You might find the exercise quite a bit easier now. Let's inhale for 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold for 4. 2, 3, 4. Exhale softly. 3, 4. Hold on empty lungs. 2, 3, 4. Again. Inhale, soft and slow. 3, 4. Hold on full lungs. 2. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, empty lungs. Inhale, hold, exhale, and hold. One more time, keep the eye focus soft. Inhale, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, and hold. Take a few breaths at your own pace. Notice how you're feeling. Is it a little easier now to breathe soft and slow? Come out of that jagged, shallow breathing. Move the breath from the upper chest down into the lower part of your lungs. No need to push or force or overstuff the lungs. Allow the breathing to be spacious, soft, slow, effortless. I really recommend that you take some breaks during the day and do this little exercise, 4, 4, and 4. If you get to the end of the day and it's time for bed and you realize, oh, I didn't do any of this relaxation breathing today, do it right before you go to sleep. Disrupt the jagged breathing pattern. Remind your brain, your nervous system, what it feels like to breathe soft and slow. And let's start to make that connection of the eyes and the diaphragm. Every once in a while, soften the focus of your eyes, relax your face, and start to get access to the diaphragm. So one more thing, just about the diaphragm. We did this movement with our hands. Now, practice that. If you don't feel connected to your diaphragm, if you feel like it's still a bit of a mysterious thing in your body, do this with me a few times. So we would inhale, the hands push down, modeling the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is dropping down as you inhale. It's floating up to the heart as you exhale. Inhale, the lungs fill, and that pushes the diaphragm down. And as we exhale, it floats up. Over time, we're going to start to move from just our imagination and this modeling with our hands. One day you're going to say, oh, I think I feel my actual diaphragm moving as I breathe. So I've been doing this and practicing this for a long, long time. And in the beginning, I really couldn't feel it. With regular practice and with just imaging and imagining, you'll start to actually feel your diaphragm moving. If we can make a better connection to the diaphragm, it's going to really help us to switch our breath into relaxation breathing. Of course, the softness of the belly is a part of that, but I don't want us to just think of it as belly breath. Let's come back to that idea that the breathing is in this entire rectangle, the corners of the shoulders, the corners of the hips, and all the way around. Think of it like a cylinder. We want to breathe into all of that space. Let's just finish with that. So we're going to imagine we're filling up this whole rectangle with our breath. All the way around. Filling up the corners of the hips, the corners of the ribs, filling up the back of your pelvis, the back of the ribs. I don't know if you've ever watched when the tide is coming in at the beach and the water kind of weaves its way into those crevices and cracks in the sand. Picture that your breath is doing the same thing. It's filling up all the little spots in your body and everything gets a little stretch as you're breathing. Just let the energy of the breath kind of meander through your body, find little pockets of space and create an expansion. Allow your body to experience the movement of your breath, even if it's very subtle. You never want to push, you never want to force the breathing. We want to be able to relax and open up to receive the breath, and then we just let it go. Let's do one last little exercise. I know I already said that, but let's just do another little exercise. So we're going to inhale, put your hands on your tummy, and then you're going to exhale. At the last part of your exhale, tuck your tummy in, and then just relax your belly. When you're ready, you're going to exhale, tuck your tummy in a little bit, and then just relax your belly and enjoy the breath in a passive way. Come back into the effortless breath. And hopefully you're feeling a little more spacious in your body, a little more spacious in your mind. Thank you so much for joining me. And please practice a little bit each day. Start to notice your breathing throughout the day. Notice the breath. Where is your body expanding as you breathe? Thank you so much.